Hello, everyone. This is the Costello Cast. I'm Aiden McDermott, and I'm here with Dominick Volpe,
What is up?
and I'm also here with Tim Medici.
Hey,
And today we'll be talking about and reviewing a movie called Fences, directed by Denzel Washington.
The movie stars Denzel Washington as Troy, Viola Davis as Rose, McKelty Williamson as Gabe, and Jovan Adipo as Corey. The movie talks about Troy Maxton, a washed-off baseball player in the 50s, and his family life.
This story is centered around Troy being the main character, but the main cast includes his wife Rose, which we talked about, his brother Gabe, and his son Corey. That's just the main cast. There's a lot of characters. We won't say much on the story, but what did you guys think of the movie, personally?
It was an interesting movie. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff
definitely
that
interesting.
happened.
There was. There was a lot that happened. Like, I wouldn't say long movie, but it was good for when the movie was made. That's actually a very good length movie. Tim, what did you think about the movie?
I thought it was some good cinematography. Like it was pretty visually stunning. It was very nice to look
It
at,
was
and
very
the
good.
story
Yes.
and the characters itself were very nice. I got
It was
involved with them.
I
The
definitely
movie was
think
really deep.
it was very
Like,
deep.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
I'd say that was a very, I think it employed the topics of the time really well. And
Yeah,
definitely, if you're a history buff, I'd say watch the movie. It's not based on anything specific, but it is a 50 cent movie where Denzel Washington as Troy has to deal with a lot of family life issues, and it's not like an action movie. It's a very slice of life family movie, and it's definitely worth taking a look at. But
yeah. I think that's like the best part about it.
It's like
Yeah.
a whole
It's
season
not
of
really
a
attached to
TV
anything
drama all
necessarily historical.
movie.
yeah, it was basically the
just, you
entire
know.
season of a movie drama all in one movie.
Yeah, exactly.
But today
Just
we were
never
gonna
stop.
just never stop talking about how good this movie is.
Yeah.
What we did want to talk about today is Troy's character. Tim, you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, sure. Troy's character, that Troy, he's a pretty scary guy, I must admit. Well, we see in the movie his relationships with Rose, Corey, and also baseball is a main
Baseball.
focus.
Yeah.
His favorite pastime. That's
yes, of
probably the
course.
biggest part of his character, other than his family, is his past.
Love for baseball. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most of his analogies are baseball analogies, pretty much all of them. Actually.
Yeah. Even like when talking to Corey, whenever Corey messed up, he would say how he struck out.
yeah.
Dom, how would you
Like-
say his relationship with Rose was?
I feel like
Movie?
I feel like he loved Rose, but not fully. Like-
He felt like it was a commitment to his life,
Yeah.
not a joy in his life, which a lot of people
Yeah.
would consider marriage nowadays to be. Tim, I want to know what your opinion is, specifically on his relationship with Corey in the movie, his son, who's 17 by the way. I want to mention that.
Yeah, well, I think he cares for Corey. Maybe he's a little bit too hard on him. I think he puts himself in Troy's shoes. Like he doesn't let Corey just do his own thing.
Yeah, Troy definitely keeps Corey in a.
He holds him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants the best for Corey, but like he doesn't know the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Troy did not have a father figure growing up. That was exactly a good one. He left his home and became a man when he was 14, and even before that, his fatherhood was terrible. So he didn't really have a good example to go off of. So
Yep.
it's understandable to see why Troy was a little hard on Corey, not exactly knowing exactly how to tell him what's best for him or show him what's best for him.
Yeah.
Even
Troy really struggled with his past.
Troy did struggle with his past a lot. He was very stuck in it, in the past. He brought up a lot of the stuff that happened earlier in his life and youth, and he constantly refers to that, especially baseball. Baseball.
Like baseball, when he played baseball, that was like the highlight of his life,
Mm-hmm.
and it led to what made his character, like his pride with his baseball playing, led him to be very self-centered, and just made him who he was.
especially since he never really got like a big chance at baseball.
Yeah.
Because
he only managed to play in smaller leagues, and even though he believed he was the best player out there, he never got to play in the MLB.
Never got the chance, and it was all because of the cover of his skin, which in the
Yeah.
1900s was a completely real thing. Like today, some people think, oh no, there's equal opportunities for black men and white men for sports, but like back then, that's very real that they wouldn't accept, even if he was very very good, a black man on a white baseball team.
That led him to have a lot of struggles with Corey, since Corey also pursues sports, but he believed that sports were like against them pretty much due to what happened in his life.
Dom, I do want to know, Dom, what did you think about his relationship with Corey?
Yeah, he didn't have the best relationship, but he wanted what was best for Corey. Like he definitely wanted to care for Corey, but he just didn't know how to due to not having a good father figure in his life.
I agree. Troy definitely did have a lot of flaws. Like as a father and as a person, he definitely had a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
I mean, without flaws, you don't have the good things that you are in life. Which Troy was he was pretty smart. Like he knew where he was in life. He knew what was happening in the world.
Troy was a very logical person. At the
He was a
same
very
time,
logical person.
Like
But he did have quite some flaws.
yeah.
Dom, that I'm gonna bring that to our next section. Dom, what do you think like Troy's biggest flaw was?
Definitely his like pride from his baseball days. Like he believed he can do anything since he was so good at baseball. He thought like there's nothing he couldn't do since he was like the best around.
He also, at one point in the film, was also bragging about how, like, he had a very close to death experience in his life and
Yeah.
didn't die. And so he talked about that a little bit in the film. And I think that ties into his pride, where he was talking it up a lot, where in the actuality, he was just dying and then didn't die.
Yeah. Like
It's amazing, you never want to die.
he doesn't want to show any like weakness at all. Like he covers up anything and just piles on more and more like ego on top of it to hide any type of fear he would have. And it just
Tim,
led to him being mean.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Tim, what do you think about Troy's pride?
Yeah, I think to put it in this way, he's putting up a fence, quite literally.
We're gonna do that a lot, aren't we? We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Um,
and his pride is in this case a fence, uh,
yeah.
building,
Keeping everyone away from him.
keeping everyone away, you know. Which brings me to a good point where we should switch off to our next topic.
I was really trying not to say fence there.
Yeah, I could tell everybody was. I do want to talk about Troy's stubbornness, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine usually, but he was very set on his beliefs and exactly what he thought was his idea, and that's what everybody needed to do.
Like Troy worked in waste management. Like that was his job.
Yes,
Like
it was.
yeah, so like when he would be at the back of the truck throwing out the trash. And one day he decided he wants to be a driver, so he went to the boss and complained about it. Even though he doesn't know how to drive or anything.
He doesn't have a
And I feel
driver's
like
license,
yeah, like he's never even touched a car before pretty much.
but
And
in
like
the end, he
that
did.
shows like his stubbornness.
Yeah, he was very stubborn
Like
about
fighting
it.
for something he can't even do just for the sake of it.
That also had to do with like his views on the inequality about race
Yeah.
at the time, which there was definitely inequality about race.
That's another big thing with Troy.
Yeah, he was
Like due to
very,
his like experience with baseball and everything, not being able to make it to the major league, he felt like the world was stacked against him because of his race.
which
Like
yes,
at the time it was,
at the
but
time it was,
it was
but it
starting to
was
lessen,
yes, and when
and he never got past that.
yeah, Corey was trying to be on a football team, and he was trying his best to juggle everything in his life, uh, which ties into inequality of race and stubbornness because Corey like Troy said that Corey needed to keep his job as a welder. I think it was at the AMP, and that if he didn't, he couldn't play football. Now, he already regretted letting him play football and didn't want him to play in any major leagues or anything. But the fact that he would not let him do it without the A&P job, and Corey even tried to like have his job at the A&P held so he could play football, which it would have been, but Troy was very, very, very stubborn about it. Which that's his choice. And honestly, I think these topics are actually very standard for the time at which this movie takes place.
Yeah, like with how the timing, Troy's character makes sense a bit there, with like how he wanted to have Troy to have a job and everything, work, because at the time it was all about doing it yourself and being like making yourself instead of relying on others.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had the mindset of that time. Yeah. And before we continue, because we're going to get into a big topic now, I just wanted to talk about our sponsor for today's podcast. The Archbishop Brian Bucks have sponsored today's podcast. That is the Archbishop Brian esports team. First of all,
Overwatch of the esports team.
Esports team, coached by Father Buck himself, and captained by me. My directing assistant is Dominick Volpe.
Has nothing to do with why they sponsored us. Well, totally not.
I'm the mascot.
Yeah, Tim is the mascot for the Archbishop Brian esports teams.
Go team.
And we were personally sponsoring our own podcast today to bring this to you. So thank you to them. And hopefully this can become a better thing for future Archbishop Brian generations, and it can be a bigger thing and be on top of other sports teams as well. It's a great fun, and we'd just like to thank us for sponsoring today's podcast.
The practices or games might be viewable at some point. Maybe. We don't know yet.
Probably.
There's been talks about it.
Maybe. Anyways, let's get right back to it. So let's talk about his morals, because he definitely had the mindset at the time, but how were his morals had to do at that time? Like, what were his morals, and how did they fit into the time period of which he was living? I think that a lot of the morals of the times this movie took place was like people were hardworking, like especially like my minorities and men of households. Like, they were very hardworking and they would do as much as they could themselves.
Yeah, it was just taking charge and like doing it yourself, like not relying on anyone, not caring what others think, just getting it done.
Getting it done. And I think that's perfectly resembled this hardworking DIY self-made kind of mindset by Troy building a fence around his house, not just like him and his son by hand. Because Rose wanted a fence. They built a fence. Well, they were trying to. They never got it finished. But like, that was the mindset back then, is I should do this myself, and I need to build myself from the ground up, you know?
Troy was also like a very logical person. Like,
Troy was very logical.
In the play/movie, there's a conversation where Corey asks about getting a TV, and Troy talks about why spend money on TV when we could fix up our roof, which if you had a TV and the roof breaks, the TV would be broken. So why wouldn't you fix the roof, then get a TV?
That's exactly correct. And I think that that's also a big part of it is back then it was a lot more focused on spending on things that you needed less than what you want. Like, my grandfather personally, for a very long time, only spent money on what he needed, and still basically only does. He only changed a little bit to get some things that he wanted. But he's a very giving kind of person. He's a very, this needs to get done first kind of person before anything else. If the TV works, don't buy a new one. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, like the economy was like just coming out of the Great Depression then, so everyone was like really frugal with their money because like they just went through one of the worst times in American history.
Yep, and they definitely were trying to save their money and try and hold on to it. They didn't want to what happened again happen. And you know, what are Tim? What do you think today's morality is? Like, what do you think of the 21st century morals are?
Morals today, well, say things have changed since the 1950s would be an understatement. Things are very different today. We don't quite do things ourselves. We can teamwork, team effort, you know?
Yeah.
And emotional pain isn't as bad as physical.
I definitely think that
Is as
that's
bad as physical.
yeah.
Or more emotional.
Yeah, like
Troy was he was very he
he
hid
was
his
thick skinned.
emotions, I feel. You know?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like Troy was very, he was more of a emotions aren't really a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Like
like with today, like everyone like mental health is like a big topic today. Where back
yes,
then
Yeah.
that really
You
didn't
feel more
exist yet.
comfortable talking about how you feel.
yeah. Back then, feelings weren't able to be as open. Like people didn't take feelings as seriously, or emotional trauma, or emotional pain. I think
Feelings were a big topic in the film/play too.
it definitely fell in there. Like you could, it
Yeah.
was more
Like
like a
that
silent topic though. They didn't flat out shove it in your face like other topics.
yeah. Like that gap between now and then makes like a big thing with it.
It makes a big difference. Like
Yeah, like
you wouldn't think
it makes
things
you
would
really
change
hate
so
the
much.
characters if you don't think about the time.
Yeah. Um, Dom, what? How do you think his morals shape up to today's moral? Like, if we're talking about Troy and his morals of like, I can do this myself, and people aren't going to give me the chance to do things, so I have to give myself the chance. I have to build myself up, and like his entire mindset is my responsibility is myself, and everything that is in my life is my responsibility. Like he felt like his son was a responsibility. He felt
Yeah.
like having a wife was a responsibility and a commitment. Even if he wanted to change it, he didn't feel like he could, and that led to some problems later on in the film, as you know. Uh,
Yeah. Like yeah, Troy was like the complete opposite of how people are today. He believed that if you can't do something yourself, no one can do it for you. Like he really felt like it was
he felt
just
very
him.
1950s.
Yeah, it was him in the world with no one else with him. Like it was his job to take care of the others, but like as a responsibility, not out of a labor of love or anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
I agree. But what do you?
he,
How do you think he chops up to today? Like, how do you think his morals would do against today's morals? Like his personally, not the morals of the time, but like, how do you think his specific mindset would do in today's society?
he would be like made out as a villain, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
people would really hate him for how he acts. Just that like stubbornness and like only really caring about himself.
His
Like
unwillingness to change.
yeah, like he cannot adapt to the situations that he would be put in. Like today, you have to like really just like fix the whatever like environment you're in. You have to like just be really flexible with stuff.
More bark
Where
and less bite than it used to be,
yeah,
obviously. And
like
yeah, today's society is a lot more of an understanding society. Uh,
yeah,
and I feel like he doesn't exactly hit the understanding part of it. Like he, like if he just like time warped 50 years in the future, I don't think he would be able to like grasp or like really go with what today's morals are.
yeah,
Yeah,
eh,
Dom, why don't
yeah,
I want to hear your opinion now. What do you think are some
yeah.
good parts of his morality,
Like
him
with him
as a
being really
character?
opposite to how it was, like he like was really is hardworking, which isn't like really prevalent today.
Mm.
Well, like he would be able to just take charge in whatever he's doing and just do it.
Yeah,
Unlike
I
a lot of
think
people today, like they wait for opportunities to show up for them. He would make his own opportunity.
that is
That's a
actually a
good point.
very good part of his character is that he is very steady, strong, headstrong. Like he does his own stuff for himself. And I think that a very good part of that is like, he'd probably save money a lot. Like I think that'd be probably something he'd do nowadays. Um I think some of the bad things about him that really wouldn't work out today is his unfeelingness towards the world and sometimes even his family. He thinks of it more as a commitment than an actual like loving relationship, you know?
Yeah, like he like cares for them, but not in like a loving manner. More of like it's his job to do that.
Yeah.
Like is like it's his job to society to be able to do that.
And I think that his stubbornness would definitely hurt him. It wouldn't be terrible, but like I know a lot of people who are stubborn, but like he has a level of stubbornness that
Yeah.
today's society would pretty much frown upon, you know?
Yeah, like if he can't do something, no one can do it. Is how he thinks.
Tim, any bad topics that you like anything bad about his character that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't think that he would work well with people at all. Like he's a very strong person, but I don't think that he would get very far with the character that he has.
Yeah, I think society has definitely changed for the better, of course.
Yeah,
he-
yeah.
And you wouldn't
In
think
the
that
film, he was really rude as like a person.
he was quite rude. Like by today's like obviously like maybe
Yeah.
back then that wasn't rude, but in
Like,
Yeah.
he would just yell at
Considered-
everyone for anything.
yeah, but they'd be fine with it. But like in today's
Yeah.
society, that would be considered extremely rude.
Yeah.
And basically like overview time. What do you guys think of Troy? Like bad, good? What do you think?
As of today's standards, he's a pretty like terrible person. I feel like if you take in like account the time and everything, he was actually not too bad of a person. Just was like the average person in the time.
He was definitely a product of the time,
Yeah.
a product of the time. But
Because like
by those standards, he really isn't bad. He's not that bad. But like today's standards, he's bad.
the economy was
mean-
just recovering and stuff, so there was a lot of like struggles that everyone went through that time.
He's off-putting, and he's very grumpy a lot of the time. But I feel like he isn't a bad person.
Hmm.
I feel like
Wouldn't say he's a
he
bad person.
like somewhat does have reasons to be like that.
Yeah, reasons behind his action.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
even like the fights he got into, he does make like valid points in some of the stuff.
He does. He definitely does. He brings up very valid points, but he can sometimes get carried away with his stubbornness and his being stuck in the past. Like those are like he's held back by chains of the past and by chains of
Yeah.
and self-centeredness. You know.
He's fenced in by his own past.
Yeah, that can sometimes cloud his judgment in arguments or some things. And overall, he's basically a product of the time. Back then, not so bad. Today, he probably wouldn't make it. By make it, I mean like he probably wouldn't be seen by society as that good of a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to stop. Good movie, good character, very interesting, very relevant to the time
Definitely.
this movie takes place. Any final thoughts from you boys?
I really like this one. I think out of any movie that we watched for school, this one, I took a lot away from this. It was
Yeah.
actually a fun watch.
This is definitely like
Interesting.
top movie
Very
I've
well
had to
made.
do for school. Well, top anything I did for school so far.
I'm a bit of a history guy. Like I like reading history and watching history. Like I accidentally read Anne Frank's diary by mistake,
Wait.
not knowing what it was. I was like 8th grader, read Anne Frank's diary randomly.
Accidentally.
Accidentally, I just picked it up. I was like, this is in the history section. Might as well read it. Anyways, I'm on that topic. I'm gonna close this off. Thank you for tuning in to the Costello Cast. With another episode about another movie probably soon. And thank you for listening. And we will see you next time. Farewell.